I had been out sightseeing, looking at some places, and I had pulled over into this scenic view stop. And that's just one area you can pull over your vehicle and then you can just look over, look at the mountains or whatever. And I got ready to leave and noticed that one of the tires on my trailer was locked up. Like whenever I tried to move forward, it would just skid. It was like it was completely locked up. So I got out and looked at it, and I pretty much figured out what it was, and it's a bad brake on that particular tire. I did a little bit of finagling. There's a little bit of trickery, I guess you could do, to get it to roll again for a little way at least. So I get to the campground, and I had been here twice before, and so I normally pull forward and go on this one road, but I decided I would try something different and go down a different road this time, and take something less comfortable and just try to mix it up a little bit, get outside of my comfort zone. So I went over to this road on the right. There were not a lot of people there, and I found just the perfect spot to camp. It was a pull-through site, no trash or anything there. It had a perfectly unobstructed view of the area where the sun sets in the west there. And I thought, man, I was just really patting myself on the back because I had decided to take the road less traveled, I guess you could say. So as soon as I got out of the truck and I started walking back to the trailer to check on my tire, this guy comes across, this older guy who was camped right across the way there. There's a little dirt road, dirt path just separating the different camp spots. So he comes walking over here, and I really didn't have time to talk to him, but I just sensed that he was lonely or needed somebody to talk to and that kind of thing. So I said, well, I'll just talk to him for a little while. I noticed that he was not parked in the camper. He wasn't really camping so much. He was staying over there in a tent, and he was driving a beat-up work truck. So I figured, he's probably one of these people that just lives here. People who don't have a place to live basically do that, and then they'll move to a different camp spot for a few weeks and move, and I suspected that's what this guy was doing. So, I talked to him for a little while, and he seemed nice enough, and so, basically after about 15-20 minutes, I, got away from him, and he wandered off. So I went to bed. The next day came, and I knew the next day was the day to work on my brakes. So I was chatting over the phone with a friend of mine named Martian, and he's into mechanic stuff, and so he knows how to fix a lot of different things. And I was just kind of like taking pictures, with my phone, and then sending them to him and saying, does this look right to you? And then I was, doing the next step, and I was just doing like that just to be sure I was on the right track, because I had never actually done it before. I'd actually never removed a trailer brake before. I'd seen it done one time a year ago, but I never actually had done it before myself, and I didn't want to screw it up. That's something you don't want to screw up. I guess I had messaged Martian 3 or 4 times and, sent him 3 or 4 pictures and stuff as I was going along. And then I realized what I was going to need to do next. I needed a bigger pair of pliers than I had. And, since I'd already taken the tire off of my trailer, it wasn't as if I could just really hop in the truck and trailer and take off to Walmart and go get another pair of pliers that easily. I walked over to the guy that had, come up to greet me the previous day, and I asked him, do you have, a bigger set of pliers? And he said he does, and so he reached in his truck and gave me the set of pliers to borrow. So I took the pliers back over there, and, I was working on the brakes and everything, and, chatting back and forth with Martian, and I needed something outside the trailer. I can't remember if it was just some more gloves or something. So I was going to take a break and needed something inside the trailer. So I went inside the trailer, and I guess I was in there maybe with trailer doors on the other side of where I was. So I guess I was in there maybe 5-10 minutes at the most, probably just 5. This is just the middle of the afternoon. There was nobody around, and I was in no hurry, and I wanted to do it right. So I come back out, and I sit down, and I get ready to do the next step, and I was going to chat Martian a picture of where I was, and my phone wasn't there. I was like, what have I done with my phone? I thought, well, I probably left it in my truck, and I checked my truck, and I checked a couple of different places, and I do crazy things like everybody else. I was like, did I just stick it somewhere? And I thought to myself, well, maybe I just like dropped it and somehow dirt got over it and I'm just not seeing it, Then it occurred to me that I have a second phone that I use for data, just for internet that was inside the trailer. So I went inside and got the second phone. Most people don't carry two phones now. So I got the second phone. I came out there to where my work spot was, and I dialed the number to my phone, and it starts ringing. And guess where it is? It's over at this guy's camp. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to have a confrontation, and I'm just not in the mood for it. I don't mind a confrontation sometimes, but I was working on my truck. I was just not in the mood for it. But it had to be done. So I walked right over there. The phone's still ringing. I looked at the guy and said, you've got my phone. He looked at me like questioningly, and I said, it's ringing right now. Don't you hear it? I just called it. And he picks up the phone. He says, oh, this is your phone. I said, yes, it's my phone. He says, well, I just must have picked it up by mistake. They all look the same these days. I said, hand me my phone. I just didn't feel like getting into it. He hands me the phone. I walk back to my trailer, stick the phone inside, put the tire back on, take his pliers, go over there and say, here's your pliers. Got my truck and took off. I really didn't want to get into it. I just wasn't in the mood, and there was no point in it. But it was stupid of him to think that for 1 minute that I would believe that he just decides to walk over to my spot while I'm not there and just pick up my phone and it's all a big accident. I don't think so. And besides, if he had a phone, basically he's living in a tent, driving a beat-up work truck. I seriously doubt he's going to have a Samsung Galaxy S9 phone. You know what I mean? So it's just ridiculous to think that it was totally by accident. But it's just I kind of lost my faith in humanity a little bit. That somebody can befriend you and seem to be decent, and you try to be friends with them and everything, and then they just wait for the very moment that your back is turned and then go try to steal from you. And of all the things to steal my phone. If you're at home, you can maybe walk next door and get a friend or somebody say, hey, can you call my phone? But when you're out there by yourself camping, you don't have anybody else. So I just thought it was a pretty inconsiderate thing to do. And I was just pretty bummed over that, really, basically. I left. I went to Walmart. I got the pliers that I wanted. So I came back, and I went to the same, camping area, but I went down that different road. I said, well, I'm going to run into this guy again. And so I see this spot where I think I can park, but I needed a level spot, to do work on the camper. And I saw this guy, he was out here with his dog. And so I was thinking, well, I'll just go up and ask him if it'd be okay if I were to park behind him, because sometimes it's uncomfortable if you're parking too close to somebody that's already there. It's kind of rude. It's nice and respectful if you go up and say, hey, I need a flat spot. There's a flat spot behind you. Would it bother you too much if I park there? So I went over there and, asked him. He's like, oh, sure, it'd be just fine. So I pulled up behind him and, I walked on my break the next day. The guy's name was JR, and I told him I make these videos and if I could use his face, and he said he wasn't comfortable with that, but I won't include really anything that would make him uncomfortable. JR had a nice dog, by the way. The dog's name was Bard, like Bard's tail. That evening, we started having some bad weather, and that is really uncommon because usually the whole winter, the whole time I've been in Nevada, it's been, sunny and bright in the daytime and clear, and a little bit chilly at night. The clouds started rolling in, and it was really kind of eerie, kind of almost like that Wizard of Oz kind of storm, where it gets all dark and the wind's blowing and everything. And So I was thinking, well, what's the best way I can take advantage of this and make a good situation out of it? So since there's usually not a lot of clouds in the sky, this time there was a lot of clouds in the sky and there was a lot of wind. I thought, well, maybe this would be a good chance to do a time lapse. So I did a time lapse I want to share with you, and we're just going to end out the video with that. Take care.